All right, and welcome back. This is a highly anticipated video, and I'm sure it's gonna bug some people. Like, listen, guys, I'm just trying to be diplomatic here. I've got my opinions. If yours differ from mine, like, please, let's try to be civil and just let me know where I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, but if I am, let me know and let's have a civil discussion about this. So, Qubic versus Tao. All right, so they both claim to be decentralized AI tokens, but really are they? So let's compare the two. Qubic, when you're mining on Qubic, you contribute to AI Garth, which is one large, innovative AI system which is built from the ground up. It's a brand new thing. It doesn't exist. It's innovative, right? It's new. It hasn't existed before, and we don't really know how good it's going to be. It could not be good, but at least it's new, and it's clear that there are some limitations to current AI systems, and Agarth is trying to break these barriers. It's an innovative project. Each miner contributes to something bigger than he himself could build, right? So each miner mines, and the mining trains AI Garth. It's mining something. The miners themselves could know absolutely nothing about programming, and they could just know the basics to set up their computer to mine. And the Qubic team is building AI Garth, and they're using the miners' computational power to train something which could potentially be huge. All right, let's switch back to Tao. In Tao, miners construct their own models. It sounds ridiculous. I learned this trying to mine Tao. It is ridiculous in my point of view. Basically, Tao is a big collection of models, of AI models, that were built by individual human beings. They're built using the standard available libraries that anyone can access, such as PyTorch, Pandas, scikit-learn, etc. And so, really, everything you could do on Tao, like a company could totally do it in-house with their own GPUs on their own server for themselves. Basically, I don't see any way these will develop into something big and innovative. They're just things that already exist, that are just built on top of already existing Python libraries. All right, basically, each model is only as good as what a single miner can build, or a team of miners if they work together. But basically, each model is only as good as a small group of individuals on a relatively small machine can build. Relatively small machine, I mean, it doesn't have the computational power of the fourth largest supercomputer in the world. So Qubic does have that. We'll get to that. Basically, Tao is a little LLM model or generative AI model running on a little computer somewhere. So straight from here, you see which project, in my opinion, is the most innovative. That said, guys, I know there's a lot of Tao supporters. I'm just trying to see my point of view. I actually hope I'm wrong. Like, I had some money invested in Tao. Like, convince me I'm wrong. I'm open-minded. All right. So of the two, guess which path has a which one has a clearer path towards AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is the aim of Qubic. I can see one way forward. That's just me. All right, just to get more into Tao, this is a channel on Qubic, but to understand the comparison, you need to kind of understand how Tao works. So Tao has a lot of subnets. They're available here. Let's look at them. So this is the Tao website. Let's see, I might have to click the link actually. Damn it. Tao subnets. All right, so we're on Tao stats, and here you see all the subnets. This is like, I don't know, say I'm a miner and I'm good at developing LLMs. There's a specialized subnet, I don't know which one it is, but which does LLMs. Let's say I want to build a translation model. There's a specialized subnet that builds translation models. So each one of these subnets has a certain number of miners in it. But each model in each of these subnets is built by a miner, such as myself. I don't mine on Tao, but the intention, that's why I start learning. That's why I sold my Tao when I realized this. Now I realize that price action, maybe it wasn't that great idea to sell my Tao, but this is what convinced me to not invest in Tao. The subnets, and each person in here develops his own little model, and that model competes with other models. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can build a decent model, but it's nothing innovative. It's nothing better than what a single person can build. And so here in each subnet, you've got these. I suppose these are different miners and the performance and time. But basically, this is one model that one guy built, and that's that. It's really not that great, in my opinion. All right. So you've also got some. They advertise some use cases. I I looked at them months ago when I decided to sell my Tao, and they weren't working then. I checked them just now, and they weren't working now. There's many of them. I just listed two here, but for example, bittranslate.io is supposed to be a translation model. So here it is. This is the AI revolution with BitTranslate, powered by Bittensor TAO. Let's see, blah blah, lots of noise. And so I said it from Italian to English, and I said, "Ciao mamma, oggi ho comprato altri Qubic." Hello mom, today I bought some more Qubic. Translate, it wasn't working an hour ago, it still isn't working, it wasn't working 2 months ago, it doesn't work. I don't know. All right, there's another one, Tao Studio. This, I think, is supposed to be some generative AI, make some pictures or something. You try to load it. This is its website, and it's down. All right, you can look into them, but they're all down. At least I haven't spent hours on it, but the few hours I had back then and the 20 minutes I just spent now, to no avail. I haven't found anything working. So anyway, that's that. So Tao advertises all these use cases, but I haven't seen anything. I have seen no way of really seeing how good their models are. Again, I haven't looked that much into Tao. I just kind of saw these red flags, and that kind of made me lose interest in the project. And so I haven't done nearly as much investigation into Tao as I have into Qubic. But from what I've seen a few red flags. This is another big red flag. Can anyone tell me how much computational power Tao has? So I really doubt you can. The limit towards AI is the computational power. AGI needs a ton of computational power. All these big companies like Google and Tesla, they require a ton of computational power, and as a consequence of that, require a ton of actual electrical power, and that's the biggest limiting factor. And let me tell you, Qubic has some good news. So you can monitor computational power on the Qubic network on this link here, and this is actually a very old post. I believe it's higher now. In any case, we don't call it hash rate, but anyway, the hash rate is 76 million iterations per second. If you have one AMD Ryzen 9, this is 147 iterations per second. So you do a small division, and you see that Qubic has a computational power equivalent to 650 petaflops, and this puts Qubic as a number four supercomputer in the world. And they I don't know if it's number 4, number 6. You have to take these with a grain of salt, because like the actual this iterations per second, it depends on the task. So for some tasks, this Ryzen 9 might be very good. For some tasks, it might not be the best processor. It's very much grain of salt. All right, it's a what's it called? It's a rough estimate. Okay, I don't know if it's actually the number 4 top supercomputer in the world, but it's definitely in that ballpark. So Qubic has a ton of computational power. This is worth a lot of money. So remember when the dollar was doing fine when it was tied to gold? Now it's not tied to gold, and super inflation. Right. Well, Qubic is tied to computational power. The value of Qubic is bound to the value of the computational power it has. This little thing here, this amount of computational power is worth a lot of money, and it's the backing of the Qubic. Bitcoin is the same, as in there's a ton of computational power behind Bitcoin, and that is the worth of Bitcoin. But that Bitcoin's computational power to mine Bitcoin is, let's say, useless. It's not really, because it secures the network, but other than securing the network, there is no use for it. You're not helping the world with it. with Qubic, you are hopefully taking small steps towards artificial general intelligence. Scientists agree that artificial general intelligence will probably be reached in the next few years, max 5, I believe. But yeah, computational power is the limit, and Qubic already has tons of it, and it has an insane plan on accumulating more. I have an actual whole video on that. It's called Selling Computational Power. So look at that video if you're interested. All right, Qubic Agarth is not like Tao, where they use just these pre-packaged libraries to make these sort of banal, already seen before LLMs and generative AI models. Qubic is built from the ground up. They have a neuroscientist working for them that's like a well-known neuroscientist. They have a very well-known artificial intelligence guy, and they look at the limitations of what currently exists, and they try to overcome those limitations. I'll grant you this, that there isn't much documentation out yet. There will be a scientific paper on AI Garth planned before the end of the year, and I am really looking forward to that. That is the one bit of news that I'm mostly looking forward to. But there's some bits and bobs here and there, like on their website they have this little snippet which says that Qubic, for example, Agarth uses ternary logic, so normal computers use binary logic, zeros and ones. Qubic logic has 3 states: -1, 0, +1. I'm sure there's a reason for this. I'm sure they've thought it. Well, I'm sure it's been well thought through. And yeah, basically it's a neural network, and they use these synaptic delays similar to how a human brain works. And yeah, so again, there isn't that much information on Agarth yet. That's also probably why the price is so low. So it's more risky to invest now, but at the same time, I believe once it explodes, it explodes, and you missed your chance. That said, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. I'm just walking you through my logic about. I originally invested in Tao. I was invested in Tao well before I was invested in Qubic. I'm happy with how my Tao went, but when I started mining, I found these things that didn't quite seem right to me, and so I believe it's a pump and dump. I believe it will dump eventually, and I got out of it maybe a bit too early, but better too early than too late. In my opinion, that's just me, right? You do you. Look into it, because really, don't be convinced by me. Look into what I'm saying. Tell me if I'm saying something that's incorrect. All right. Let's look at the founders. So Qubic the founder is called Sergey Ivancheglo. He's known as Come From Beyond on the various social networks. He's been in crypto since the beginning of crypto. He was one of the first Bitcoin miners. Who knows if he had something to do with the actual Bitcoin project. He founded NXT and IOTA. This is NXT and IOTA and their return on investment. Notice they're the highest of any other crypto project in the world. So let's say Qubic ends up in, I don't think it'll surpass NXT, but it'll end up in one of the top 3, right? In my opinion. And that's a big, even if we get 300,000% return on investment, I would be very happy. Now, I didn't buy the bottom. I'm currently a little bit down on my investment, but I won't get 300,000%. I'll get a little less than that, but I'm happy. That said, I don't have a sphere to tell the future. I don't know how it's going to go, but I see the sort of risk return ratio as very good. So I'm happily. This is probably the project I'm most happily invested in. Right. Let's see Tao. Tao also has it has 2 founders. Oh, damn it. I only have one of the names. I didn't write the other name. Anyway, one of them is Jacob Robert Steves. He's worked for this Gnome Inc. I believe it was an artificial intelligence company. And then he worked at Google. Then there was the other founder. I didn't write the name. I'm sorry. But anyway, the other founder, he's a software engineer. He worked at MTS, VMware, Instacart. And I think he currently is, or he was, a university professor and postdoc. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure these guys are smart guys, and I'm sure they know their stuff, but at the same time, crypto is not standard software engineering. I'm happy Sergey knows his stuff as far as the crypto world goes. He's been in it since the beginning. Evidence of him being one of the first miners. He probably has a ton of Bitcoin. Very good stack. And yeah, this is Qubic is like his life project. He's trying to change the world and make it a better place and build something that will last. Qubic is built to last. It's built different. It's not a pump and dump project. It's not something you should just invest in it, and at some point it will spike. I'm not worried at all. Even if I'm down 70%, I will be happy. I'm not down 70%, but there's tons of people who really support Qubic and believe in Qubic. It's a great community. All right, so we've talked about the AI, which is, obvious comparison because Qubic and TAO are both AI coins, but Qubic has a lot of uses apart from AI. It has the highest transfers per second of any chain. Transfers per second is basically how quickly it can execute smart contracts. This is the graph, this is Qubic, and these are the other coins, the other crypto projects, and Qubic is more. Well, this isn't even to scale. This is 300K. This is 55 million. Like, if this were to scale, it would be way up here, So yeah, it's just massive. It's insane. This is another reason it's so innovative, because the validators of the Qubic network, they don't even run on an operating system. They run on a bare computer in the RAM. So it's not like you install a miner on Windows and run it. You run it without an operating system. I have never heard of such a thing. I don't know if any other chains do something so innovative. But yeah, Qubic does, and that's one of the reasons why it reaches such a high TPS rate. All right. This high TPS is useful for lots of things. Internet of Things, decentralized finance, and gaming. For example, My Last Match game is coming out. I'll probably do a whole video on that, but it's a game made by a professional gaming company. I'm sure it will be out on Steam. I'm sure it'll draw a lot of attention. And yeah, this high TPS rate is going to be good for all the in-game transactions, and it should run very smoothly, showcasing the power of the Qubic chain. Offline transactions. So, say the internet is down, you can still make a transfer with Qubic. Maybe in places where internet connection is bad. So it's very innovative that you can make Qubic transfers offline. And so yeah, you can banking the unbanked. It's not really talked about much in crypto, but places in rural countries where they don't have much internet connection, they will be able to use Qubic. They will be more enticed to use Qubic compared to other cryptos because of this offline transaction concept. They also have staking, QEarn. It's not out yet. It'll be out soon. And this is a huge topic, selling computational power. Because their computational power is so abundant, there's also plans to be able to sell it to companies for fiat. So a company can want computational power. They can pay for it in dollars. And these dollars will actually be used to buy Qubic, bringing the price up, and then buy the Qubic, then burn the Qubic, so make the Qubic disappear, and this will raise the prices. Raising the prices will entice more miners to mine Qubic, and so they'll have more computational power, which is worth more money, so they'll sell it for more money and buy more Qubic, and it's a diabolical scheme to just gain basically all the computational power in the world. And that would be pretty cool. Soon your microwave will be mining Qubic when... I'm exaggerating, all right? It's a hyperbole. But basically, they've got a plan to sell computational power and increase Qubic's value and increase the computational power. There's a whole video on that if you're interested on my channel. All right, well, TAO has some good things. First of all, notice the timescale is different. So we're talking about the 5th of February here, and this here is May 23. So it's different timescale. TAO has been around for a bit longer on the various exchanges. Qubic hasn't. So TAO has a bit of an early mover advantage, and yeah, so the timescales are different. Qubic has the price has dropped steadily since its peak here in March. It's down, I believe, 85% compared to its peak. you know, here, what we're looking at here could probably be something around here. This is probably a 50% drop just here. Maybe more. I don't know. I didn't look into it. But just to say that it's not that unusual to see something like this in crypto projects. And yeah, you know, Tao has had its big drops as well. But yeah, Tao, like I'll tell you my flaws. I sold Tao around this area here. I bought it maybe. I hadn't known it for so long. I bought it maybe here and sold it here. I don't know. I made a bit of a profit on the Tao I sold, but not much. I bought and sold in this area, and then shortly afterwards it did a 100% price pump. All right, so as I said, take my advice with a grain of salt. I'm sure that in the short term, perhaps Tao could do very well. I'm talking long term. I don't think Tao will exist 5 years from now, or if it does, it will be a very small project. That's my claim, right? So I don't look at short term price action too much. I'm in this for the long term. You know, as I said, meme coins pump too. So meme coins which have absolutely no value can easily do a 100% price pump. And so I don't think you can judge the value of a project by its price chart in the short term. I think the price of a project will be clear 5 years from now when this did a 1000x, and Tao, I don't know what Tao will do. All right, I'm not going to make any predictions. Tao also, having the earlier mover advantage, has institutional support from Grayscale, for example, and they're on all the blogs and everything. But the way I see it, it's a lot of like buzzwords with not much to it. If you really look into it, I don't see anything of value behind it. But that's just me. Like, look into it yourself. All right, guys. In conclusion, I think Tao is great. I think Qubic is great. I think Tao is pump and dump. But that's just me. You look into it yourself. Where to buy Qubic? It's available on all these exchanges. They actually just recently, yesterday, added a tier 1 exchange. I haven't added it here. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, it's easy to buy, basically. If you're interested in it, look into it. These are the accounts to follow. This is Come From Beyond. This is Qubic Intern. Follow them. They're cool. All right, guys. Try to be constructive in the comments, right? Like, my mind can be changed. I'm open for it. I hope you can convince me I'm wrong. Talk soon, and yeah, have a great one. Follow and like.